The Power of Agile, hosted by Nagarro.
Welcome to The Power of Agile, the podcast that explores the transformative impact of true agility on businesses. I'm your host, Gurpreet, and I work here at Nagarro as a cloud consultant. In today's episode, we will be delving into Agile as the new normal and how this approach has gained so much traction over the past few years. Joining us today is Julia, a Scrum Master here at Nagarro. So, welcome, Julia.
Thank you for having me, Gurpreet. I'm excited to be here and talk about the rise of Agile practices.
It's a pleasure to have you. And before we dive into our topic today, could you give our listeners a bit of a background on yourself and your role here at Nagarro?
Yeah, sure. My name is Julia, and as you mentioned, I'm a Scrum Master or Agile coach at Nagarro. I'm at this company since last August, so over a year now. And before that, I worked as a software developer at two different companies, and I worked with the programming languages C++ and C#, and also in Agile teams.
That's fantastic. And I've got a quick fire round of questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Perfect. So, firstly, what is a common myth about your job?
Good question. I think typically myth is that the Scrum Master is the leader of a team. And no, there is no leader. The Scrum Master is simply a member of a Scrum team who guides the team throughout the process. But no manager, no leader.
Right, so no hierarchy or anything like that. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And finally, what book did you last read?
The last book I read was while I was on sick leave. Maybe you know the band Pitera and Yours. It's an Austrian band.
No.
And Paul Pitera wrote two books, and I have read the second part, The King of the Seagulls. And in German, this means Der König der Möwen.
Okay, you just taught me a bit of German there.
And next year there is a concert of Pitera and Yours, and I'm there.
Oh wow! Okay, so favorite band.
One of the favorites.
Okay, interesting. And I mean, it must have been good if you made it to the second part, right?
Yeah, very good. It's in German, so you have to learn German now.
Oh, okay, right. I'll add it onto my list of things to do then.
Perfect.
Thank you for sharing those with us. And now to move on to our topic. So we will be talking about how Agile is the new normal. But before we dive into the topic, I'm curious, how has the concept of Agile evolved over the years?
Agile used to be just for making software, but now today it's a flexible way of thinking. It's about being ready to change, working well in a team, and focusing on what customers really need. Many people like Agile because it brings many benefits. It ensures a better quality of work and keeps customers satisfied. It's not just a one-time thing, it's about always making things better. Yeah,
so the idea of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And could you say that we are more service orientated now, and that's the reason to an extent why Agile is now a way of thinking, has become a mindset?
Service and product orientated now. So we only have to produce more code and more services, and because of that it is really important to be flexible in today's world.
Right, okay. So being adaptive is key here. Okay. So you mentioned that Agile ensures a better quality of work and keeps customers satisfied. I'm curious, what other key factors contribute to the widespread adoption in various industries?
Agile is like a toolbox that different industries use. As I said, it's not only for software anymore. Businesses in all kinds of fields find success with Agile. It helps them, as I said, to be more flexible, work together as a team, and keep improving. Agile has become popular because it's perfect for today's fast-changing world. Businesses need to adapt quickly, as I said, and Agile helps teams to do that. It's also about working together and adding value step by step. This leads to great results, even if it takes a bit of time. And yeah, on the whole, it doesn't matter whether you're making software or doing something else. Agile is a useful way of thinking. It makes the work smarter and keeps up with today's speedy business world.
So you mentioned that businesses need to adapt quickly, and I'm wondering, how did the COVID-19 pandemic accelerate the adoption of Agile practices?
Yeah, I think the COVID-19 pandemic generally changes many things, and I think also in our private life. And also the pandemic sped up how people used Agile methods in different ways.
Right.
Because more people were working from home, Agile helped teams work well together even when they were far apart. The way Agile works, where you do things step by step, helped teams change quickly when things were different or needed to be done in a new way. Agile ideas also helped businesses change what they were offering to match what people needed during the pandemic. This was important as more people started using digital ways to do things. And yeah, Agile is always about learning and getting better, and this became really important during the pandemic. Also, Agile's way of letting teams make decisions was good for making sure that employees were doing okay while working from home. And yeah, during the pandemic, Agile ways of doing things also started being used in places others than computers, like healthcare and education. And this helped these areas deal with the crisis well. And another good thing about Agile is that it uses data to help decide what to do. And this was really important during the pandemic, to know what was happening and what to do next.
Right, so the data, it was data-driven decision making, right?
Yeah.
Is what we're saying. Okay. And I completely understand that, to be honest, because we were based remotely. So there was this massive shift where we went from being in an office environment to then being based at home and doing everything virtually, right? So I think prior to this, we used Teams, but not to its full extent.
It was a really big change for most of the companies in our world,
Yeah. You mentioned healthcare and education being industries which where Agile really helped, for example. My thinking is that these industries saw the effects more because they were so reliant on having patients or students there in person.
Yes, I agree, but I have to say that healthcare and education only were two examples.
Right.
This applies to a number of industries and also includes, for example, software development, product development, marketing and advertising, I don't know, startups, game development, education, e-learning. So Agile methods are crucial in every industry where adaptability, customer centricity, and responsiveness to changing requirements and market conditions are essential for success. So this Agile's flexibility and iterative approach and the focus on the customer value make it a perfect fit for all of these sectors.
So what we're saying is that, yes, it's the new normal.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, do you think that some of these learnings and these Agile practices have been retained, considering the COVID-19 pandemic is somewhat over and we have returned to normality to an extent?
I think many companies have stayed with Agile methods. What has changed is that many have moved to a hybrid model and are now back to working partly on-site. And because of this, now Agile is even more important to manage this hybrid model.
Of course, I totally agree. And now, why do you think that agility has become so essential in today's fast-paced and unpredictable business environment?
Agility has become essential because, we all know that today things are changing quickly and always in unexpected ways. And businesses need to be ready to adapt when the market changes suddenly or when the customer needs shift. And being able to respond swiftly gives a competitive advantage. In this kind of environment, risks can come up unexpectedly. So being agile helps businesses manage these risks better and find ways to navigate through tough situations. When a crisis hit, like for example the COVID-19 pandemic, agile practices helps companies deal with the challenges effectively.
Okay.
And one more point is that agility also promotes innovation. And by constantly improving and trying new things, businesses can stay ahead of the game and come up with fresh ideas. And this attracts top talent because people want to work for companies that are open to new ways of doing things.
Right.
And reducing the time it takes to bring products or services to market is crucial in today's fast-paced world. Agile methods help streamline processes and eliminate unnecessary steps, allowing businesses to deliver value more quickly. And overall, it is to say agility is like a survival skill for businesses in this fast world. And it helps them to stay competitive and ready to face whatever challenges come their way.
Yeah, it sounds like it helps them to be ahead of the market. You're constantly innovating, constantly adapting, but it means that you're ahead of that curve then.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Okay. So how does Agile help organizations become more resilient and adaptable to change?
I would say Agile is like a superpower for organizations.
Okay.
It helps them become strong and flexible when things change.
Right.
And Agile does this by breaking tasks into smaller steps, listening to customers, and working together as a team.
So just one thing here, right? You mentioned Agile works best by breaking things down into tasks, right? All these smaller steps. Can we go into a bit more detail with this?
Yes, sure. It's a good question. And let me maybe give you an example for this. Let's say you are working on a project where you create a mobile banking app, for example. And here you have the big chapter tasks like build an account management. And these big tasks we call epics.
Okay.
These epics we try to break down into so-called user stories. In our bank scenario, one user story within our epic could be, as a customer, I want to see my account balance and transaction history, for example.
So we're saying we have one epic, and that epic could have multiple
more user stories.
Okay,
yeah.
Multiple. Okay, yeah. That's fine.
You also can have more than one epic for your mobile banking app.
Right.
One example epic is the build an account management. Another epic could be the security, for example, or the user login, or what else.
So you're looking at this. You're dividing the epics based on the different topics.
Yeah, sure.
And different angles that you have to approach to make sure that you can deliver this well-rounded, let's say, solution.
Yeah, in more smaller pieces.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's more manageable that way, right? Like bite size. Okay.
It's easier to manage for the management and for the software developers.
Of course, yeah.
And these user stories can again be divided into even smaller subtasks that describe what needs to be done. For instance, design the account dashboard or create the transaction history screen, just to name a few. And these smaller subtasks make it easier for the software engineers to work on a project step by step and split the work between them.
So it sounds like, I mean, if I can just relate to it to an extent, it sounds like if you've got an Agile DevOps board, for example, you've got multiple tasks on there, you are looking to achieve a certain goal within a sprint, for example, and then you've got this breakdown of exactly what's required to get you to that point.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Okay.
And to keep things on track, you'd set time limits. For the epics, for the user stories, and for the subtasks. For instance, an epic shouldn't take more than 3 months, for example. A story about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe in one sprint. Yeah, and the subtasks not longer than 2 days or not longer than 3 days. Yeah, as you want. And
is this a tactic? Is this kind of done intentionally to make sure that too much time isn't spent in a particular area, for example, only for you to realise, let's say, it's not possible?
Yeah, sure, and it helps you to blend the things.
Right, okay.
How many things can you, or how many subtasks you can do in the next week, or
Okay, yeah. So like allocation, resource management as well.
Yeah. For the management especially.
Yeah.
Very useful. And additionally, to come back to the question before, it's all about learning and improving, using facts to decide and solving problems quickly. And Agile also helps organizations to change their plans fast and empowers teams to make choices. And as I said, it's like a superhero.
It sounds like anything's possible with Agile. And just going back a second, you mentioned that it helps organizations to change plans. I'm curious as to how they can change plans so quickly with this approach.
Yeah, the continuous and shorter feedback loop in Agile way of working allows you to quickly inspect and adapt as the changing circumstances, and also to reduce the risk. And let me explain this a bit more in detail, maybe.
Yeah.
Agile works in short, regular iterations. At the end of each iteration, the team reviews what's been done and adjusts plans for the next iteration in order to deliver the best results in time. Also, the fact that epics are broken down into smaller tasks helps to reprioritize and identify what is currently most important for the user of the requirement. And one most important point is that feedback can also be obtained from the stakeholders at any point. And this transparency, the continuous feedback, and an adaptive mindset of all involved is about changing direction when required and stopping if any approach is not giving expected results.
And that makes complete sense. So the fact that you've got everything broken down into smaller tasks, you're able to actually see if something is taking longer than expected, hit pause, reassign priorities.
You can react quicker,
Yeah, okay. And that, that's a good way of looking at it. And just on that, you mentioned you can review it at the end of each iteration. What kind of time frame are we talking about here?
It's different from project to project. We say from iteration, so a sprint should take from 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
So I think the most sprints takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks is really long.
Yeah, okay. But it's a good time frame to have. I think it makes sure that you don't go too far into something only to realise that it's not possible.
Yeah.
So the message that I'm getting here is that with Agile ways of working, it allows organisations to be more adaptive to change, flexible, and make sure that we're actually delivering value. And with that in mind, would you be able to share some success stories of organisations that have fully embraced Agile and how that's impacted their productivity and customer satisfaction?
Yeah, sure. There are many big companies or organizations which fully embraced Agile. And maybe I can tell you 3 incredible examples.
That would be great.
Let's begin with Amazon, because Amazon's Agile approach is evident in their rapid decision making and innovative products. And they have a so-called 2 pizza teams, where teams are small enough to be fed by 2 pizzas.
Okay, pause for a second. Right. Tell me more about this, right? I heard 2 pizza teams and I heard Amazon.
Yes.
What's the idea here?
For fun, if a man or woman can eat 2 pizzas in one sitting, then it is a 1-man team or a 1-woman team, maybe.
Okay, I need to get to this level. So far, I can only have 1 to myself.
You have to train to eat more. And these 2 pizza teams encourages efficient collaboration and creativity. And this has driven expansion into various sectors and consistently improved the customer experiences.
And just on this, right? So we talk about 2 pizza teams. Is the idea here that we want teams to actually be smaller?
Yeah, smaller.
Because a
team should be not too big.
Right.
Because the productivity is lower if a team is too big.
And could you say it's like different opinions as well that kind of adds to the complexity then?
The complexity will be higher if we have more people in the team.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second example, Microsoft. Microsoft moved to Agile practices across its products, leading to quicker development cycles and better collaboration. And this resulted in products like Microsoft Office receiving frequent updates and improvements, and so they are satisfying users with enhanced features.
And that's why I have to update my laptop so often and reboot it.
We all have to do this. Okay, then let's go to the last point, and let me also give you an example from the Nagarro world, featuring one of our clients in the entertainment industry. We started from scratch and supported them through a complete Agile transformation over several years. In order to achieve a big impact, we worked on 3 levels. The first level, the strategic level, we collaborated with the leadership to change the company culture. The second level is the coordination level. We worked with the product owners responsible for the product to identify team dependencies and reduce risks. And the last level, the operational level, we worked with the team to improve how they do things like their processes, for example. And this journey was accompanied by 100-day interactions. Every 100 days, we redefined the change plan according to the current requirements and goals and adapted it to their process.
Okay.
So complicated, but a great success story from the Nagarro world,
And an interesting approach.
Yeah.
So every 100 days, we would change the plan, but we would adapt it in a way where we would make sure that it fits the current requirements and the goals. Because this goes back to how requirements are constantly changing. And this just shows an agile way of working where you are flexible and willing to adjust, even though you started with a different plan in mind. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for providing those examples.
Yeah, sure. And in these stories, Agile played a central role in boosting productivity by streamlining processes, for example, or driving innovation through frequent improvements. And one more point, improving the customer satisfaction.
Right. That's key here.
Yeah.
So you've highlighted some of the key success stories here. And now I am curious to hear the flip side of that. So what kind of challenges or barriers do you tend to face when organizations are transitioning to an agile mindset?
Good question, because switching to an agile way of thinking can bring a lot of challenges.
I can imagine.
And these include people not wanting to change, the way of organization works not matching, not enough training, not enough resources, too many levels of management, measuring how well things are going, and also pressure from outside.
So you, by the sounds of it, it's almost like you have organizations that are stuck in their ways, right? They have their set processes. They don't want to deviate from that because the idea of change is scary, right? But also
change is always scary.
Yeah.
For everyone, yeah.
And I think it's the fact that there is no, I mean, you kind of do start with the end in mind, but at the same time, you don't know through which avenues you have to go through to get there, right? Yeah. So it sounds like it's really complex. And now, how would you say you address these challenges, right? Because it seems like some of the challenges that you have are so very different, right? You've got different layers of complexity. You've got the organizational level. You've then got certain departments, for example, siloed departments, right? And then you have managing individual ways of working. Yeah. So how do you address this?
Yeah, maybe let's dig into some specific points. For example, first, dealing with people who are resistant to change. We at Nagarro tackle this by involving them and working together to find solutions. Right. So open communication helps us understand their fears.
Okay.
And we believe change should be a collaborative effort involving both coaches and leadership. And sometimes people struggle with their new roles during their transformation, which we identify through ongoing conversations. And we also use workshops and trainings to help employees understand their process better.
Okay.
This allows coaches to get to know employees and provides a clearer overview. And this helps people to find their way and set goals in the transformed environment.
And this makes sense, because it's like if you involve somebody, right, and you do this kind of goal setting or finding a solution together, they're more likely to be brought in to the idea.
It helps them.
Yeah. Okay.
And we've also implemented a solution in a public sector insurance company called the ACE team, Agile Center of Excellence, so ACE.
Nice.
And this team includes management and Agile coaches, and they work together to define Agile processes and practices, address problems, and actively support and drive the transformation.
Okay.
The second example may be when it comes to an organization's way of working not aligning. Many companies focus only on changing software teams, but that's not enough.
Okay.
And the entire organization needs to change. For instance, in a trade and tourism company, we made changes in how they manage budgets and portfolios. They had no consistent process for how ideas turned into implementation. And just making software teams proficient in Scrum isn't enough if the rest of the company sticks in inflexible processes.
So basically the entire company needs to live and breathe Agile.
Sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes management level actions are required, such as providing training for managers or introducing the portfolio management. And this kind of change takes time and guidance. And at Nagarro, we don't force predefined templates on our clients. Instead, we collaborate with them to discover the best approach.
That's a really good take to have, actually, because there is no one approach fits all. So you
won't find one approach
yeah
that fits for every company.
Every organization has its own complexities, has its own dynamics, and you have to be agile in yourself to be able to find a way to work together.
Find the perfect solution for the customer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what we're saying is that we don't go in with any predefined templates, and from what I understand, that means that we don't change everything. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. You keep what works well in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and we collaborate with them to discover the best approach.
Right. Okay. So we don't change absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And maybe one last example, the measuring performance and external pressure. The problem with the most measuring tools is that they are planning tools and no control tools. And these tools are often misused for control and external pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Each tool serves a different purpose, and they should be used together and not alone. And it's essential to educate management about the purpose of these tools, and our coaches try to assist, ensuring that this understanding is applied in the day-to-day life of the organization during every transformation.
Interesting point. So you mentioned using measuring tools within Agile, and that's interesting. It's something that I wasn't aware of, but of course it makes sense. So do you have any examples of these measuring tools that you could provide?
Yeah, sure. I can maybe give you again 3 examples.
Mm-hmm.
First, the velocity. The velocity is a key metric in Scrum. It measures the amount of work a team can complete in a single iteration, for example, a sprint.
Right.
It helps teams estimate how much work they can accomplish in future iterations and track their progress over time.
Okay.
Then the second example are story points. Story points are a relative estimation technique to quantify the scope or complexity of user stories without their exact duration.
Mm-hmm.
So each team can interpret story points differently. Instead of using time-based estimates, teams assign story points to their user stories based on their difficulty, considering factors like complexity and risk. For example, 50 story points can be the velocity for one iteration.
Right. So one velocity iteration can comprise of 50 story points.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you've got kind of velocity is a high level of how much work is achievable. Story points is the breakdown of the tasks that are required. Yeah, okay.
And maybe one last example, the burn-down charts.
Mm-hmm.
The burn-down charts show the remaining work, usually maybe in story points, and over the course of a sprint. So they help teams visualize progress and identify if they are on track to complete the planned work by the end of the sprint.
Okay, so it's a useful visual aid.
Yeah. And the choice of the measurement tools and metrics should align with the specific Agile framework or method being used and the goals of the project. So these are only 3 examples of many measuring tools.
Right. So you may have like a lot depending on the different the Agile framework being used. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing those with me. So, I have one final question for you. Looking into the future, how do you envision Agile evolving further? And what do you think the key focus areas or emerging trends will be?
Looking ahead, the evolution of Agile holds exciting possibilities. Agile is likely to adapt and grow in several ways. And we spoke earlier about the working from anywhere and I don't think this will change in the future. And we also spoke about the Agile in non-IT sectors. This will also grow in near future. And maybe now let's go to some other points, like, for example, Agile scaling. As organizations adopt Agile on a larger scale, the focus will shift towards methods and frameworks that enable Agile practices to work smoothly across multiple teams and departments. Scaling frameworks like SAFe, it's the Scaled Agile framework, and LESS, it's the Large Scale Scrum, will play a very important role. Or another example, maybe the AI and automation example. Agile practices might integrate more with AI and automation, streamlining processes and enhancing efficiency.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because AI is such a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine it will continue to be a big topic going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And in a sense, the future of Agile will be continued to grow and adapt to different contexts. The key focus areas will include, as I said, remote work, scalability, hybrid approaches, learning culture, leadership. So there are so many to mention. And yeah, these trends will help companies succeed in an increasingly dynamic and connected world.
It sounds like we have so much to look forward to.
For sure.
Thank you, Julia, for sharing your valuable insights into how Agile has become the new normal. And before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what we have discussed today.
Okay, sure. Yes, my recap is that Agile is the new normal because companies and employees have already recognized its advantages. And as a result, they can no longer imagine reverting to the traditional project-driven approach. It helps companies succeed in a world where things change a lot, and it empowers them to adapt quickly and ultimately ensuring their long-term success.
I totally agree, and thank you for that. And just to add, right, I guess my kind of key takeaways from this is that it's not enough to change the proficiency of software and product teams, right? Agile is a mindset in itself. So we need to make sure that effectively you live and breathe Agile, right, in a company.
A very important point.
And secondly, the fact that agility is measured, right? This is, as someone who knows nothing about Agile, I didn't think it was possible to measure change and success using some of the tools that you mentioned, like velocity and burn down charts. So that was a key learning for me. And finally, last but not least, Amazon's 2 pizza teams, right? I think this is such a great idea.
It's funny.
Yeah, I think it's something that I'll be suggesting to the IT team here at Nagarro. So thank you once again, Julia, for joining us on the Power of Agile. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for our next episode. And if you need any further information, please visit aqt@nagarro.com or connect with us on LinkedIn.